Guys, I'm Kylie and welcome back to the Making Small talk show, potentially audio show, video show, wherever or however you're hearing this or seeing this. Welcome and thank you for hanging out with me today. Today I want to talk about something that and I think is really important in the art and making things world, and that is the existential questions we ask ourselves when we first start creating whatever we're creating. And there are two of those questions. The first one is how and when to decide to call yourself an artist and how to be really confident in that. And then also a question of who am I as an artist? What is my style? What do I like? What kinds of things define me as an artist? Those are two humongous questions that a lot of people have to ask themselves over and over again. And I get those questions all the time. How do I find my style? Who am I as an artist? What do people know me for? And I'm going to try to give you as much advice as I can on answering those questions for yourself. But spoiler alert, I don't think I can answer those questions. I think that is up to the individual to make that decision. So I'm going to talk you through some of my thought process on this topic, and hopefully that will help you out. So let's go ahead and get into it. Once again, the show is not sponsored by Lindsay Letters, but I have another one of her mugs and I'm keeping it mostly real today. And also because I just love supporting small businesses, I'm going to give a shout out to the company that created the shirt, All Is Well. Love the colors. This is by Nellie Taft, and they have an Instagram account called Nellie Taft, I'm pretty sure. But once again, just not sponsored at all. I just genuinely love giving a shout out to small businesses and companies that are killing it and crushing it. And those are both two companies that I really look up to. So let's go ahead and tackle the first question of when do you call yourself an artist? And let me tell you, I was calling myself an artist privately long before I was calling myself an artist publicly. And I think that's the key. I think you have to call yourself an artist to yourself for a while before you can advance to putting the word artist in your social media bio or at Thanksgiving or Christmas when your family members are asking you, what's new with you? It takes a while before you can say, well, I'm an artist and that's what I do for a living. Even if it's not your full-time gig, even if you're not selling your art, you can still call yourself an artist. And my thought process on this is that if you are creating things, and I don't care what you're creating, if you are doing lettering or if you're really into watercolor or you're designing tires for a tractor, if you are creating something, you are challenging yourself to be original in what you create, meaning you're not always copying something stroke for stroke, or you're not always on Pinterest saying, I'm going to recreate this. So as long as you're challenging yourself to be original, you're feeling inspired by the process. Doesn't mean that it's easy, but you're feeling inspired and somewhat challenged in the creation process. If you're consistently making things, then I give you permission to go ahead and call yourself an artist. And you don't have to start calling yourself an artist publicly yet, but the first step is just admitting to yourself that you are one. I'm sorry about the lighting. It's a storm is rolling through here right now, so the lighting's kind of in and out. But there is no magical thing that happens when somebody calls himself an artist. You don't all of a sudden start making a ton of money. You don't all of it, well, you really don't start making a ton of money, but you don't all of a sudden have a show in an art gallery. You don't all of a sudden become really good at whatever art you're creating. It's a title that you can give yourself and that can help you on your way to becoming even more confident in finding your style, which leads into the next question, which is how in the world do I find my style or find who I am as an artist? And this is really, really hard. If you listened to my first official episode of Making Small Talk, which aired last Wednesday, and I don't remember what day that was. I'm sorry. If you're watching this in the future, I don't have an exact date for you, but I talked about how I started blogging because I was influenced by what I was seeing on the internet and what I was seeing other people doing and what I thought I should be doing as far as blogging goes. And the same thing happened when I started lettering. I was lettering in this style, and I'll try to put a picture up somewhere in here. Lettering in a style that I was seeing a lot on the internet, and I was like, okay, well, this is what lettering is. There's also typography, and there's font making, and there's a lot of other elaborate styles of lettering, but this brush lettering thing seems like there's only a couple different styles for that. So I'm going to go ahead and learn those styles and copy those, and I'm just going to get really good at that. And I did. I got really, really good at copying other people. And eventually, though, something really magical started to happen. And as I got confident in my skills, and as I was like, okay, I'm pretty good with the brush pen, I know what I'm doing, something really cool started to happen where I started to become drawn to just this different kind of lettering. And I won't lie and say that it was all from me, because nothing is ever all from one person, especially since we are bombarded with images and things that other people have made 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We're always influenced by something, whether we realize it or not. But I was being influenced by this other type of style that seemed to just be a natural draw. I was naturally attracted to it. And I started getting super excited about that. And all of a sudden, my lettering wasn't looking like my old lettering used to look, which was how everybody else's lettering used to look. And I started to see my lettering go out on its own and become its own thing and become its own style. Like I said, this happened really slowly, and it happened probably over the course of like 6 months to a year. And that was with me attacking it every day and practicing every single day. If I wasn't working on it every day, it probably would have taken me double or longer the amount of time to find my own style. But my own style still started out as something different than it is now, because my style has evolved and is continuing to change and grow as I become more confident in it, because I'm always becoming more confident. I didn't start out just like super happy with what it looked like, but I've become happier as time has gone on. And I've also become less afraid of sharing things that look different than what I started out on, what I started sharing originally on the internet. And that was kind of scary, but that's a whole other thing. It's always scary to post something that you know in your heart is more along the lines of what you like, but it's not along the lines of what you've been sharing and what people have started following you for. That's a very scary thing too. And I would be happy to do a whole other episode on pivoting and changing your mind and doing something different, and that being very scary. So as far as finding your style goes and finding who you are as an artist, all I can say is that it needs to be a natural process. If you are forcing yourself to create something that's not really you, but you just kind of like it, or you saw something on Instagram or Pinterest that you really liked and you think, well, maybe that's my style because I really like that. That's probably not your style. It's probably you just thinking somebody else's style is really cool. If it's not natural, if it's being forced, then I guarantee that that's probably not your thing. And you can try to develop a skill. You can try to force your art to look like something that it isn't, but it will probably always feel a little bit forced. And even if you get really good at it, it's going to start to feel icky and not like you at all. And that's what happened to me when I first started copying, the standard brush lettering style. It was okay, but it just didn't feel like me at all. And that's what will happen if you force yourself into having somebody else's style. Whereas if you own your own natural attraction to whatever that thing is, if you lean into it a little bit, then I guarantee it's going to be more fun as you go along, as you develop your skill, as you gain your confidence. It will just naturally happen. The most important piece of advice that I can give is just to stick to what you like, and to maybe draw from things in other areas of your life that you know you're happy with. So if you already have a really great style going throughout your home, if you have your house decorated in such a way that you are just so happy and at home when you're in a certain room in your house or just in your house in general, maybe you can look and see what kind of style is this and how does it translate into my art? What kind of colors am I drawn to? Color is a big thing too. I started out using a ton of color, but not using colors that I actually liked. And now I use colors that I actually really like. And I use a ton of black too, because that's just honestly, that's just my style. That's what I'm drawn to. That's what's easiest for me to create with. If you already have a really great sense of style as far as your clothing and your hair and your makeup and your general aesthetic goes, then maybe you can bring that into your art as well. The opposite actually happened for me. I used to be somebody that really played it safe and erred on the side of caution when it came to expressing myself through wardrobe because I was afraid of drawing attention to myself at all. So I've never been a huge fan of wearing a lot of color. I used to just want to wear all black and all neutral so that I would like blend in with a wall. And when I started discovering my own art style, I was all of a sudden way more confident in dressing like I wanted to dress and wearing clothes that I felt good in and wearing stuff that not everybody is going to think is cute. But me finding it cute was the most important thing. And that's something that happened to me as I started finding my own style. So maybe the opposite will happen for you and you can pull your personal style into your art. As far as lettering goes, I do have a class, shameless plug, on finding your lettering style. That's called Love How You Letter. And I take you through exercises that are designed for you to take your natural handwriting and pull that into lettering, and then also to take what you're doing with your lettering and make that even more unique, because everybody's got something unique they can bring to the table. That process of finding it can just be super hard, and it can be really discouraging when you think that it should happen in a month or a week or however long, but in reality it's a never-ending process, and I am proof of that. My style is still changing even after 3 years of lettering. I still am going through evolutions where I'll like something for a couple months and then that will elevate into something else, and so on and so forth. So I don't think the process ever ends, but I think it does get easier, and it gets easier to go with the flow of change and to embrace change and to allow yourself to level up. There's an ambulance, if you can hear that. We'll wait. If you are interested in taking the Love How You Letter class, I will have a link to that below on my website. And it's a great class. It's super affordable price, and it has helped a lot of people embrace their own style of lettering and even grow that into something even better. So I am super passionate about helping people find their style, if that's not evident. Final words about calling yourself an artist and figuring out who you are as an artist is you cannot compare yourself to where anyone else is on their path. You have to be on your own path. You have to keep your eyes on your own paper, literally. You have to stay in your own lane, and you have to just trust that you are in the right place at the right time, and you will get to where you need to be. This is so hard for me still, but I'm trying to take my own advice as I say that, to just trust that where you're going and when you'll get there is all in the right timing. It's also really important to put away the fear of what other people are going to think about you calling yourself an artist or about the art that you actually share with the world. Art is not for everyone, and that's what's beautiful about art, is that some styles speak to some people and some speak to other people, and that's fine. It's more important, I think, to make a connection with one person than to like be appealing to 50 people. So as long as you're keeping that in mind, that not everybody's going to like what you do, and that's just a life rule, that not everyone's going to like what you do or say or how you act or how you look or whatever, you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea. And that can be really hard when we're putting our art out into the world, because that's like a little piece of us. And it can be scary for your family and friends to start seeing you shining your light if you haven't already been doing that. So it's hard to put the fear away, but it's an important part of the step. It's just to go ahead, rip the Band-Aid off, and start putting yourself out there as an artist if that's what you want to do. And it will get easier and easier. And I promise the people that matter are going to be so excited and happy for you. And the people that don't matter. I hope that you take a look at last week's episode on blogging. If you're an artist or creative and you feel like you should be blogging, but it's just not where your heart is, I kind of talk about that and what purpose blogging serves in my business and whether or not I think it's for everybody. Next week, I'm going to have Lauren Eibach of Lauren Eibach Lettering on the show to talk about publishing with a company, which is what I do, versus self-publishing your own book, which is what she does. I'm excited for us to go back and forth and talk about some pros and cons of both. And if you're thinking about reaching out to a publishing company or about self-publishing your own work, then you will have a lot to think about after hearing our episode. So I'm super excited about that. So as always, you can find me on KylieInKentucky.com. I'm at Instagram on KylieInKentucky. And I also co-host a podcast called Mrs. Ambitious that's officially back on iTunes and Spotify. We took a summer break and now we're back, and we're going to be having an awesome guest on next Tuesday. Christy Wright is going to be on the podcast Business Boutique. So if you're interested in that, head over to iTunes. I can't talk today, but it's fine. Bye, guys.